everyone, I'm Rachel Wolfson, the host and founder of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. Web3 Deep Dive Podcast focuses on real-world Web3 use cases to help you better understand how Web3 is being applied today and how it may be leveraged in the future. If this sounds interesting, I encourage you to subscribe, like, and share the content that you're seeing today to help spread the word about Web3. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. Today I'll be speaking with Jesse Pollak. He is the creator of Base, a Layer 2 network, and the Base mainnet just launched, so we're going to be discussing that. We're also going to be discussing the term on-chain summer and a lot more, so let's get started with today's episode. Hey Jesse, welcome back to another episode of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast.
Glad to be here. Happy Thursday.
Yeah. Happy Thursday. Good to have you back on the show. Just for our listeners to know, you've been on the podcast before. I've interviewed you in person at VCon. So this is your second time on the show.
Take two.
Yeah. Cool. So before we get started, for the listeners that don't know who you are already, I'm just going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself and kind of explain what you do at Coinbase and what you're doing with Base.
Yep. I'm Jesse. I'm the creator of Base. I lead all things Base day to day. I've been in the Coinbase orbit for the last 7 years. Prior to Base, I led all of our consumer-facing businesses on the engineering side. So Coinbase, Coinbase Pro, Coinbase Wallet. And then, for the last 2 years, it's been all Base. So super grateful and excited and, getting to build a lot of cool stuff.
So I'm just going to get right to the meat of the conversation right now. Base has just launched its mainnet, and I think, today we're talking it's August 9th. And is it today that the mainnet has officially been launched for Base?
I think today's the 10th, and yesterday was the 9th. Or was this supposed to be? I'm confused.
Today's you know 10th. What? Today is August 10th. You're correct. I'm wrong.
Today's the 10th.
My bad.
So yes, all good. I recorded podcasts before the launch where it was supposed to be the launch day, and so it's this is the 9th. But today's the 10th. We launched mainnet yesterday. Kind of kicked off on-chain summer. Although on-chain summer has been going for a while, we're just joining the party. Today was day 2 of on-chain summer. We had a really awesome drop from DK, which I was super excited about. And just tons of energy in the Base ecosystem. People are building.
Let's back up a bit. What is Base?
Yep. So Base is an Ethereum layer 2. That means it's a scaling solution on top of Ethereum. So all of the apps that you can run on Ethereum that maybe cost you, $1 or $5 or $10 to use, you can use all the same apps on Base, but they'll be 10 to 100 times cheaper. So it'll cost 10 cents. So to send money or to do a swap or to, mint your favorite NFT or to create an NFT. And so what we're really trying to do with Base is we're trying to build a platform that's going to enable the next wave of innovation in crypto, enable those next, million really powerful on-chain applications that we think will bring in the next billion people.
Got it. And so Base is Coinbase's layer 2.
I wouldn't say it's Coinbase's layer 2.
Okay.
I'd say Coinbase is incubating it and it's decentralizing over time. But definitely comes from Coinbase, built by a lot of Coinbase builders. The team is me and a lot of people who I've been working with now for more than 6 years. It's kind of in many ways, the center of the company. A lot of folks who scaled Coinbase.com who kind of said, hey, let's figure out how do we build the next platform for Coinbase, the next platform for the world that's open, decentralized, permissionless, and really on-chain native.
And so with the mainnet launch happening, or it has happened, and it's been in the works for a while now. So what exactly does that mean? What does it mean for the mainnet to launch for our listeners that don't know what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So we announced Base in February, and when we announced Base, we opened up what was called the testnet. That was basically a test version of Base. Developers could come, users could come, they could play around. There's no real money. It was just people kind of stress testing the system, deploying applications to get ready for kind of when those applications were going to be live in production on mainnet, and then us getting to learn a lot. we spent kind of 3 to 4 months in testnet, just getting to like see what happens, see what it took to run the chain, see where things broke. We did a bunch of security audits. We did a bunch of kind of reviews with other technical teams. And after we felt we kind of reached a certain threshold, we actually defined 5 criteria that were kind of like, we need to hit all of these criteria in order to unlock mainnet. We hit all those criteria, and then we started what has been a really incremental, measured approach to mainnet. For those who maybe haven't heard the term mainnet, that basically means like this is the real base. It's live, everything is real money, all the applications are using real money. And so as we were kind of bringing mainnet to life, we did it in a few phases. So first we opened up mainnet just for developers. And this was really a time where developers could come, they could deploy their applications, but there were no UIs. There's no way for like everyday people to actually interface with the chain. And then we opened it up for bridging, which meant that there were kind of really simple UIs that let folks start to move their assets onto Base to kind of be ready. And then we opened it up for everyone and everything, which basically means now all the applications are live. There's more than 100 dApps. All the users have like the right tools to use things, wallets, bridges, etc. And the ecosystem is starting to kind of thrive. And we kind of kicked off mainnet opening up for everyone with our effort to join Onchain Summer. We've seen a ton of energy building Onchain over the last few months. We decided to say, hey, like let's throw our chips in. We found a bunch of other people who were building, who wanted to build on Base. And every day in August, starting yesterday, the 9th, we're bringing one cool thing to do on chain, and then the community is bringing a ton more. So yesterday it was Base Day 1, which was NFC you could mint. It'll evolve over time as more people come on chain. It's going to tell the story of all of us creating this new kind of era of the internet. Today we had FWB and Cosmo De Medici curate a really beautiful piece of art from an artist named DK Motion that really tells the story of this next generation of the internet, a new era, as he would call it. And then we have a bunch of other really cool things lined up every day from now until the end of August. So today was day 2. We got 21 more days left. A lot more fun this summer on chain.
Got it. Okay. So Jesse, let's kind of break down what you just said, because that was a lot of information to take in.
Yeah.
First of all, you're using a term called on-chain summer.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So maybe I'll first define on-chain. We have started using this word on-chain over the last year, and we're using it to describe this next era of the internet that we believe is being powered by blockchains like Base, like Ethereum. And the easiest way to think about this is through the analogy between on-chain and online. If you think about online, in the early 2000s, the world went from offline to online, and that was a huge unlock. In the previous world where everything was offline, most things were kind of unidirectional. You got told things by the newspaper and the television and, the media, but there was very little that you could do to kind of input or to create. There were gatekeepers, there were the editors, there were the publishers, there were the producers. And then the internet came and we all came online. And that was this crazy transformation where for the first time, anyone, anywhere could create. And they could share their story with the world. They could communicate totally freely, totally globally. And that created TikTok, it created Twitter, it created this podcast tool that we're using right now to record this. And that was a huge unlock for everyone. And it still left a lot to be desired. I think even as folks were starting to put themselves online, they were putting themselves into walled gardens. They were putting themselves into kind of products and constructs that were controlled by large corporations. And for the most part, they were getting rewarded with things like likes and comments, which, is a currency that is controlled by someone else and doesn't actually do that much to support, the artists who are trying to make a life or the creators who are trying to make a life or whoever's trying to make a life online. And so on chain, we think it's kind of the next generation of the internet, where for the first time, you can still read, you can still write, but you can also own. You can put your content on chain and you don't lose control of it. You don't give it up to a corporation, and you can actually continue earning. You can continue kind of deciding what happens to it. And I think what we're seeing from folks who are moving from online to on chain is that it's changing their lives. I was talking literally with DK this morning. We're recording on chain summer stories. which is every day I do a 15-minute story with the kind of folks who are behind the stuff happening that day. And he said, I was originally just kind of a corporate animator, and I always wanted to do art. And then I started doing art. I was doing it on Instagram and Twitter. I was getting lots of likes. I was getting lots of comments. And so I know people like my work, but I wasn't making any money on it. And then I started doing NFTs. I started putting my work on chain. And it changed my life. It changed my life because for the first time, I actually started earning money from my art. And I realized that this could be a thing that I do full time. And it's not like there's one story like that. It's like every single time I talk to someone about this move from online to on-chain, the words that I hear are, I moved on-chain and my life got better. I moved on-chain and I became more empowered. I moved on-chain and I had more agency, more autonomy, more ability to earn from the things that I create. And so when we use this word on-chain, what we're saying is we're ready. We're ready for this next generation of the internet. So now going back to on-chain summer, what does that mean? It's kind of been a meme that's cropped up, in the last few months. And I think what it means is it means that we believe that this summer is the summer that the world starts to come on-chain. It's not going to happen all at once. We're not going to go from, a few million people to a billion people in August. That would be a little unreasonable. But I think we're feeling like the technology is finally ready for us to start getting people in, to start opening that door a little bit wider and to start showing folks, hey, if you get on chain this summer, you're going to have fun, you're going to learn something, you're going to experience it, you're going to create, and maybe you won't go back because it's going to give you something better, make your life better.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's a great explanation of on-chain, by the way. And it all makes sense. On-chain summer, and that gets people excited. But Jesse, my question is, if our listeners, if someone's like, oh, I want to move from online to on-chain.
Yeah.
And let's say they're in the Web 2 world, maybe they aren't so focused on Web 3. How could they do that? I mean, does it have to involve creating an NFT, for instance?
It doesn't have to involve creating an NFT. I think the first thing is getting a crypto wallet. So you can get Coinbase, you can get Coinbase Wallet, any kind of powered, cool crypto wallet, Rainbow, Frame, Ravi, Trust Wallet. There's a ton of them, and they all also work together. And so if you get one and you don't like it, you can always switch to another. You don't have to kind of like change banks or something like that. You just download the app and it'll work with your same account. And then, you can go to onchainsummer.xyz. Every day we're curating one thing to do on chain. And so it's probably going to be an easy way to get started. There's 23 days in on-chain summer left. And so if you show up at onchainsummer.xyz anytime between now and the end of August, there'll be one thing to do. And maybe that day it won't like perfectly fit with you. Like you come and it's a day where there's cool on-chain music and you're like, oh, I hate music. Come back the next day and there'll be some food, on-chain food or on-chain restaurant, or there'll be an on-chain game or there'll be an on-chain advocacy moment or an on-chain community. And I think our kind of thesis this summer is let's take 23 shots on goal and let's see, even if we can just get one thing that someone comes to this website and is like, oh, I get it. Like, this is cool. This makes me happy. This is a reason why I would set up a crypto wallet and a reason why I would start to come on chain. That's success. So, that's kind of what it's all about. onchainsummer.xyz.
Awesome. Okay. So now I understand. And this is a great way to drive mainstream adoption and kind of introduce them to the Web3 space, but even help people like myself, for instance, if I wanted to go to that website to start doing things on chain, I could do that. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, we could do it live. I was on another podcast a few days ago, and we were talking about it was called Coinage. They are building.
Yeah, I know Coinage.
Yeah, they're awesome, and Zach, he's great, and they're building. It's like a on-chain community-owned media outlet. And he was like, "Yeah, well, like you can mint our NFT to become a supporter." And I was on the podcast, and I said, "Awesome, I love that." And I opened up the Coinage website, connected my wallet, minted the NFT, immediately support. It took less than 15 seconds, and I think that's what it's all about. It's about just living and breathing and doing and experiencing this stuff. So, we don't have to do that right now, but maybe after the show, go to onchainsummer.xyz, try it out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd love to. And I think our listeners would also love to go to onchain.xyz and try it out. So Jesse, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk more about Base because this is really exciting with the mainnet launch. What I want to know is let's talk about some use cases that we're seeing now that the mainnet has launched? Like what are the use cases that people are doing with Base? What are they building on Base?
Yeah, all sorts of things. And a lot of these folks are also featured in On-Chain Summer. So if you hear one that you like, you can again check it out there. Some ones that are top of mind for me. Obviously, there's all the financial use cases. So you have stable coins on Base that makes it really easy to send dollars to anyone, anywhere in the world. You also have kind of traditional DeFi or decentralized finance or just on-chain finance, as I like to say. So that lets you trade assets. It lets you borrow and lend assets. It lets you save. And so, all of the kind of standard Ethereum protocols like Aave and Compound and Uniswap, and then a bunch of kind of base native ones like Moonwell and others are there kind of doing financial offerings. And then I think on the other side, we have a lot of kind of more consumer facing products. I'd say that's kind of a focus for us right now. Some ones that I'm really excited about Parallel, who's building an on-chain game. It's like a trading card game, kind of like Magic the Gathering, but fully on-chain. Really cool, tons of energy around them. They're in private beta right now, but getting really, really good response. Another one is Blackbird. It was founded by the founder of Eater and Resi. He's back for a third time, and it's kind of like full restaurant loyalty and subscription product, all on chain, all on Base. So you kind of can walk into any restaurant, you tap your phone, it instantly knows who you are. You just get to sit down at your table. The bill gets fully settled. You don't have to deal with checks, and then it remembers. And the restaurant can kind of remember who you are, engage with you as a loyal customer. So that's been really cool to see. I think they're in like 80 or 90 restaurants right now and growing. Wow. All around the US. So that's another awesome one. And then one other kind of segment that I think is more like, crypto native, but is definitely a use case that I'm seeing a ton of people do is on-chain media, music, art, with Base and the low fees that come with Base. So now you can kind of do anything for 10 cents. A lot of people are getting into kind of just collecting on-chain assets. So maybe it's a cool piece of art that someone creates, or it's a song, or it's a video. You can just collect it. Now it goes into your wallet. You get to have that kind of permanent relationship with the artist. They can do cool things around it. It's like, hey, if you collected this piece of art, here's another one. Or, hey, if you collected this piece of art, you can redeem it for a cool piece of swag. And so I'm actually finding that myself and a lot of other people who I know end up collecting 1 or 2 or 3 of these things a day. They're all kind of in the like cents or dollars. And it's just a fun way of kind of experiencing this new format of the internet. So that's another big one that's happening a lot on Base right now.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those examples, because I want our listeners to understand, how they actually work and what on-chain actually means with some of these use cases. So I think you said the name of the game, the card game, was called Parallel, and it's like Magic the Gathering. It's an on-chain card game. So how is that different than just Magic the Gathering? That's not on-chain.
Yeah. So the way it's different is that all of the cards, so if you were in kind of a traditional world, you buy Magic the Gathering, you go to your favorite toy store or whatever, you get a card pack, it's shiny, you open it up, now you have a bunch of cards. Rather than those cards being physical cards, now these cards are on-chain cards. So they are digital assets that are kind of represented on Base. That you can look at, you can trade, you can swap with other people for, you can see all the characteristics of on-chain, and you can know that they're fundamentally yours. And so what that enables is, it enables a bunch of things. One is it enables like really cool kind of composability of these products. So with Magic the Gathering, like, if you have a bunch of cards and you want to trade those cards with other people, it's like you either need to meet up in person to trade with them, or you need to like go have someone build a specialized internet product for trading Magic the Gathering cards. With parallel cards, because these things are just on-chain assets, you can just trade them like any other asset, like Ethereum or like any other NFT. And all of the cool infrastructure that's being built for those things work for these cards. So that's one, I think, really cool characteristic is there's a lot of ways that people can build on top of the game and expand the game. Another really cool characteristic of it is like as you use the cards, they become kind of connected to your on-chain identity. And so you can kind of look at how you use them over time. You can look at how you played them over time. And that can kind of build your reputation. It can build your kind of track record, your score. And that can be used to kind of give you rankings and make it so the gameplay is more connected to who you are. So the actual gameplay, it's all, feels a lot like a card game, but the platform has been swapped out from an online platform or a fully offline platform for an on-chain platform. And that kind of unlocks a bunch of cool new functionality. And folks really love it. There's I think they have 100,000 people on their waitlist or something right now. And they just opened up the private beta a week ago, and people are loving it, having a blast playing.
Awesome. Also, the restaurant use case that you mentioned was interesting. I forget the name of that. But Blackbird?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that work? Do people have to pay with cryptocurrency if restaurants use that?
You don't have to, and it's all handled kind of in the background. And so you just set up your wallet. They kind of handle all the complexity for you. When you kind of go to a restaurant for the first time, you get your pass to that restaurant that goes in your wallet. It's an NFT. It's on-chain asset that represents you. And then you can connect a payment method, like a credit card, and you can pay with that. Or if you have kind of their Fly token or Fly points, you can pay with that. And I think they're also enabling stable coins, so you can pay with that. And so I think their thesis is let's just use this powerful technology and abstract a lot of it from the everyday consumer, rather than forcing new experiences on folks when they might not be ready for them. And I think generally that's a really good strategy. It's what we're seeing a lot of folks do. Even with Parallel, they're really focused on building a great product. And I think that's what we need more of in crypto. That's what we need more of on-chain. We need people who are building awesome products that use the superpowers of this new platform to enable things that people love. And if we can build those awesome products, then we're going to have a lot of people coming on-chain to use them.
Definitely. Are there any enterprise use cases that are leveraging Base as of today that you can talk about?
Are there any enterprise use cases that are leveraging Base?
Any big companies using Base?
I'd say we're still in the kind of early phases. We just launched Base mainnet yesterday. And so we have a lot of conversations going on right now. But I think folks, couldn't even get going until yesterday. And I expect we'll see a lot more folks go live over the next few months. For On-Chain Summer, we do have a couple of kind of bigger brands working with us just to do small little experiments. So Coke and Atari, they're both doing cool little mints on-chain this summer. But I think we'll start to see kind of the larger enterprises more in the next few months.
Interesting. Okay. So that's something I should definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then maybe this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask it. Is Coinbase using Base?
Yeah.
For payments?
Yeah, Coinbase is using Base for tons of things. Yeah.
Okay.
So Base is integrated across the whole Coinbase product suite. It's gradually becoming kind of the default layer 2 that folks, will onboard onto and will kind of serve as their entry point to the broader on-chain economy. And the thing that Coinbase loves about it is it's super low cost. So really low transaction fees. It's secure, it's decentralized. And that makes it a really great platform for enabling our customers to do things like stablecoins, do things like swaps, enable institutional customers to move large amounts of funds around really quickly, because you also have much faster confirmation times on Base. And so Coinbase is, actively kind of integrating and rolling out and defaulting to Base across the entire company.
Okay, that's an important point, I think, to mention. And then let's see. So basically, I know that the mainnet just launched. Can you talk about maybe the challenges that you're seeing as of now? Because, when something launches, nothing is perfect in the beginning,
Not
right?
perfect?
No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Base is perfect, Jesse, but maybe it's not. So what are your thoughts on that?
Definitely not perfect. No, it's definitely not perfect. We were talking right before I think we were started recording, and I was like, it's day one. It's not actually day one, but it's figuratively day one. That's like a Jeff Bezos quote. He's like, it's always day one. And that's very much how I feel. It's like we're bringing the world on chain, and it's still day one of doing that. I think that the the primary thing that feels like imperfect or not good enough for me is we still have a lot more work to do on the like consumer experiences and ease of use. Our North Star is how do we make it so you can go from never having set up a wallet before to doing something on chain in less than 60 seconds. And I think that in certain regions and in certain flows, we've gotten there, but in many other regions and other flows, like we still have more work to do. And so this is one of the kind of reasons why we've been doing this on-chain summer effort, is because we want a forcing function, right? We want a forcing function to get people to go through that experience, not just like everyone in the world, but also just people at Coinbase, the people who are building the products to have these use cases that they can actually test run and like do every single day for a month and be like, what's broken? What's broken and how do we fix it? And so, right now, I am spending time, every morning we launch a new on-chain little app. That's the app of that day or the experience of that day. And then every evening we retro and be like, what worked? What didn't work? What could go better? What are the fixes we want to make? How do we integrate those into our products? Where do we need to change resourcing and focus? And I think like 23 days of doing that every single day, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to make our products a lot better. So that's one of the things I'm most excited for about this summer.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that's a great way. Like, we mentioned before, even I want to try it out because I think that would be useful for me. And I've been in the industry for a very long time.
Yeah.
But, I had a thought.
It's useful for me. And I've been in the industry forever. Like I'm learning something new every day, being like, oh, like this needs to be better.
Right. I mean, you've been at Coinbase for a very long time. You were one of their...
7 years at Coinbase, like a decade of working on crypto. So it's been a long time.
Right. So it's a good exercise for everybody in the industry and people not in the industry. The concern though is because mainnet has launched and people are leveraging Base now for these real world use cases. Security, that's always a concern, bugs and code and smart contracts. I think that's something that, that's concerning, obviously. So what are your thoughts on that? Are you worried that something may go wrong? I mean, it's Web3, right?
It's crypto.
You never know what's going to happen. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've taken on the base side, we've taken a really deliberate approach here. Like I said, we did, 4 or 5 months of testnet. We've done really incremental rollout on mainnet. As part of the testnet process, we conducted internal audits on all the code. We also conducted external audits on all the code. Those audits built on a bunch of other audits that Optimism and OP Labs had done because we're using this kind of shared public code base that we've joined as a second core developer of. And so, we've really tried to go above and beyond to try and figure out how can we invest in the security of Base to make it as secure as humanly possible. So that's on the Base side. On the Coinbase side, I think our kind of vision for Coinbase has always been like, let's make crypto as trusted, as easy to use as possible. And when you have a blockchain like Base, it's fundamentally open and permissionless. There's a little bit of chaos in that, right? Like you're not going to have everything be perfectly buttoned up or everything, work perfectly when you have an open and permissionless blockchain because people are going to be kind of creating and experimenting at all different levels of maturity. And so I think the way that works with Coinbase is that Coinbase almost serves as like a little trusted layer on top of Base, a little bit more curation, a little bit more hand-holding, so that if you're using Base through Coinbase, you can know, okay, I'm getting the safe experiences, the ones that have been really, really carefully looked at, the ones that know that that they're ready for kind of an everyday consumer. And so that's the way it's going to continue to be over the next few years. Like Base is going to continue to be this, very secure, very audited, very invested in platform, but also an open permissionless platform that kind of embodies all of the experience that comes with that. And then Coinbase is going to be this trusted, easy to use interface that makes it safe for everyday folks to kind of explore Base. And the folks who want to use that, awesome. The folks who want to go kind of more hands-on, a little bit more do your own research, they can as well.
Got it. So Jesse, I've asked you this question a few times now, so I'm going to ask it again for the third time. Will there be a token associated with Base? Because, really, it's like, so tokens are important for, ecosystems within Web3 as incentives for people to use the network, and then they're rewarded with tokens. But Base does not have a token associated with the network. Will
No
Base
plans for a
have
token. No token right now. No plans for a token. And I'll just give the same answer as I think I gave last time, which is that we are, in general, our feeling is that tokens have kind of like confused product market fit for the last few years in crypto. You've seen a lot of people use tokens to kind of drive behavior that isn't a reflection of the like real product quality or product market fit of these platforms or protocols that are being built. And so I think a lot of our thesis has been like, let's just focus on building a great product for developers, a great product for users, and trust that if we do that, people are going to come and use it. And I think we're seeing an incredible response thus far, and I'm excited for what we have in store ahead.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it goes to show that there doesn't always have to be a token associated with a
Doesn't always
network
have to be a token.
in order for people to use it. So I think that's great, especially with all the confusion now in the United States around tokens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we got to get more regulatory clarity in the United States for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a safer way to do this, in my opinion. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned stable coins, and maybe there's a project leveraging Base for stable coins. What are your thoughts on stable coins in general? And then I also want to ask you about PayPal's new stable coin, what you think about that. So yeah, that's two questions.
Stable coins in general, I mean, I think a super important part of the world's future, right? Like folks all over the world and in the United States as well want access to a stable store of value. The dollar has provided that for a long time for folks in the United States in a good way, and for folks outside the United States in a relatively poor or mediocre way. And I think stable coins are a tool that can expand access to that stable store of value to even more people, do it in a safe way, a secure way, a really easy to use way. And I think it's something that currently the US regulatory environment is lagging on, and that risks, the dollar's position. It risks that opportunity for us to provide a stable store of value for more people in the world. And so I think stablecoins are really, really important. Obviously, Coinbase has been investing in building safe, secure, trusted stablecoins for a long time, starting with USDC, which we helped create in 2018 and is one of the most important stablecoins in the economy today. So that's just generally on stablecoins, super important. I think we need more investment. On the PayPal one, I think it's awesome. I mean, look, this is a massive public company, again, doing a stablecoin. If you'd asked anyone, like, would PayPal do a stablecoin 5 years ago, everyone would be like, that's crazy. And now here they are. I expect it not to be the last stablecoin that comes from a large public company or a financial services company. I think that we're going to have many, many more stablecoins. We're going to have many, many more folks who are moving parts of their business on chain, because ultimately on chain is a 10x better platform for doing financial services, for doing pretty much anything. And so Coinbase, I think we've been leading the way, and our investment in Base is one more step in that direction. We want to show the world what's possible for public companies to do on this new on-chain platform. But I expect that many people will follow, and that we'll see a lot of the things that we're doing and the things that we're learning trickle down and influence and help shape the strategy of other folks who are trying to figure out how do we leverage this new platform to make the world better and make our business better.
So you mentioned a good point, and I want our listeners to really understand why you mentioned this point. On-chain is a better way of doing business, stable coins, for instance, and financial transactions. In your opinion, why is it a better way of doing that versus what we see traditionally today?
Yeah, I think a lot of it boils down to the fact that on-chain is fundamentally defined in software, and you can build everything in software. And so if you think about, what's required to move a dollar from one account to another account in kind of the legacy financial system, that has to go through all sorts of different kind of complex systems. You have, things that don't talk to each other well. You have processes that take 3 to 5 days that require human intervention. Moving that same dollar on chain, you write a little piece of code, and it executes in the same way every single time you want to move a dollar. And that means that the dollar movement that might have taken 5 days and required human intervention previously now takes 2 seconds, costs less than 10 cents, and requires no human intervention, and will work in perpetuity because the code is deployed on this open on-chain platform of Ethereum, and deployed in such a way that you can trust that it'll be there for decades ahead. And so that difference, the difference between legacy systems that are, in many cases decades old, that are very much in need of an upgrade, and that's the online or offline world, and software systems that are newly built, with really high quality kind of infrastructure and practices, and that are fundamentally built for these use cases, and that's the on-chain world. It's night and day in terms of what's possible and how much kind of leverage, how much operational excellence, and how much kind of power that both businesses and individuals can get out of it.
Definitely. That made me think of another question I wanted to ask you. With the rise of AI, and everybody's talking about AI now, and I think a lot of it is kind of overshadowing Web3 and blockchain technology. Is Base doing anything with AI, or what are your thoughts on AI?
Is Base doing anything with AI? I mean, I think AI is awesome. I'm doing things with AI. It's like definitely improved my productivity and my ability to kind of get leverage for my thinking. Base itself right now, I think we use a lot of AI in our marketing for like, helping copy, edit, and write content. We use a little AI in our kind of Discord and support channels, to help us better respond to folks. And then Coinbase is doing a fair amount of experimentation with AI in similar areas where we're trying to figure out like how do we use this tool to get more efficiency, scale for our business. So I'd say nothing like super strategic where it's like this is Base's bet on AI, but more like, hey, this is a powerful new technology for more effectively running our business or more effectively building software. Like, how do we use that to make us better?
Let's talk a little bit about what's next for Base. I mean, it's it's such a funny question because right now the mainnet just launched, and it's like, what's next? What can we expect next? But really, I mean, Jesse, what are you excited about? Like, what do you hope to see moving forward?
Yeah. Well, what's next for me right now is every day for the next 21 days, I'll be waking up at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be doing on-chain summer stories, telling the world about what's happening on-chain. We'll be kind of dropping a cool new thing to do on-chain. We'll be doing that through the end of August. So that's a little bit where I have blinders on right now. It's just like, tell the story of on-chain, tell it good, bring a bunch of people on over the next few weeks. After that, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a breather and be like, okay, where are we now? What have we learned? But then I think for us, it's kind of a relentless march until we get 1 billion users on chain. And that's going to be a combination of, working with the broader ecosystem that's already starting to build on Base to, get them the support and resources that they need in order to build incredible products. It's going to be working with Coinbase and other kind of top tier interfaces for users to make sure that those products are accessible and easy to use and can be used in a trusted way. And it's going to be working with the Base team and all of the teams who are building the technology that underlies Base, to make sure that the foundation that we're building is secure, that's scalable, that's decentralized, and that it can really live up to the promise that we are making, which is we're building an open, decentralized, global on-chain economy. And so I'd say those three things: making sure the infrastructure is there, making sure the ecosystem's there, and then making sure it's usable and reaching the world. That's what's next.
Got it. And so when people, and I know we talked about this in depth already, when people want to actually do the on-chain summer thing, that's all online?
Yeah. Yeah, you go to onchainsummer.xyz, or you can go to onchainsummer.com if this feels more comfortable to you. But onchainsummer.xyz, you'll find something cool to do right at the top of the page. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on the internet. You'll need a crypto wallet, but yeah, you should have a lot of fun doing that. You can subscribe, come back every day, check it out.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to check it out for sure.
Love
Jesse, yeah, we're going to wrap things up a bit. Any additional comments that you want to mention that I did not ask you about already?
I guess my only comment is, bringing the world on chain is not something that I can do alone, that Base can do alone, that Coinbase can do alone. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us building. It's going to take all of us creating. It's going to take all of us telling our friends and family. And so if you're listening to this podcast, you're already ahead of the curve of like 99.9% of people. And my ask to you would be like, own that and throw your chips in with us. Like help bring the world on chain, and do that by building something cool on chain, by creating on chain, by telling your friends about what on chain is, by telling them it's on chain summer, by helping them do their first transaction. The more of us that we have rowing this boat, the faster we're going to be able to get the whole world into this new economy that's going to make their lives better. And so join us on chain, get on chain this summer.
Definitely. And that leads me to one more question.
Yeah.
Are there hiring opportunities in case our
Yeah.
listeners are interested in learning about, working with Base,
Great question.
Coinbase?
Yes, there's lots of hiring that we're doing. We're hiring. So you can find jobs for Base at base.org/jobs. You can find jobs for Coinbase at coinbase.com/jobs or careers. I forget which one. I think it's jobs. And then if you're looking for something that's more short term, Base is doing a bunch of grants this summer. We're doing 100 ETH worth of grants, which is about $200,000. And you can just apply to those. It's like build something cool, apply for a little grant. They're in the kind of like 1 to 5 ETH range. So that's like $2,000 to $10,000. And you can find those at prop.house/base. So that's prop.house/base. And there's 4 different grant categories. We'd love you to build something on Base, contribute to Base in some way, and we'd love to pay you for it. So that's a great way to get involved.
Cool. Well, that's exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of the innovations to come. I know that this is just kind of the beginning of a journey and everyone's excited about it. And I'm really glad that you were able to come back on the podcast to talk about this launch and everything that, we're seeing so far.
Yep. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Yeah.
Day one.
Special thanks to Aaron Bender for producing Web3 Deep Dive podcast. I'd also like to thank the sponsors behind Web3 Deep Dive. Finally, thanks to the listeners for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you guys next time.